All of a sudden, he was in West Clocktown. Song of Healing was playing backwards, and lots of textures were missing. There was no one in the town, and he started freaking out. So he decides to go to the swordsman school to see if the swordsman was there, because he never leaves Clocktown no matter what. He was going to stay no matter if the moon fell or not. But the swordsmaster was not there. All of a sudden, the Elegy of Emptiness statue appeared behind him. And he just stared at the face. The creepy face. And it just kind of started gradually appearing after him. And he just kind of sat there for a bit. And then he got some weird noises. He'd hear Skull Kid screams over and over, so he decides to leave the school. All of a sudden, the music seemed to get faster and faster. He sat there for a good half an hour listening to it. And then the statue starts to follow him again. But this time, more fiercely. Every couple of seconds, it would pop up as if it was following him. Something was following him. Then he somehow got to South Clocktown and a dawn of a new day with the subtitle LLL or line 99 appears. And he's transported to the top of the clock tower when you need to take on Skull Kid. And so nothing's happening, so he shoots his arrows and he flinches, but he says, hee hee, that won't do you any good. He's lifted off the ground, he bursts into flame and electricity. No one in the entire series has ever been able to do this move. When it comes back, it's the same thing. No scene is triggered whatsoever. He decides to approach Skull Kid this time, but he's lifted off the ground and the same thing happens. When the game comes back too, he's there once again. However, the music isn't playing. Eerie silence. However, a normal scene actually comes up. He tries to play the Song of Time to fix it, like you would in this situation, but before he hits the last note, he bursts into flames once again. At this point, the game started chugging as if it was processing something, and it just brought him back, and all there was Link lying there with Skull Kid hovering over. And then you read, "You've met with a terrible fate, haven't you, as said with the happy mask salesman." And is kicked out to the screen. Now there is a new file. It's called Your Turn, as in it's your turn to die. Upon opening this file, all you would see is this. Link's dead body. Lying there, and that's all he would do. Eventually, you'd hear Skull Kid's laugh over and over again. I mean, it would just drive him insane, as if it was teasing him. After this, he decided to restart. Upon restarting, the B.E.N file had to return, as a signature from B.E.N saying it's your turn to die next. A little bit later, he comes in and plays after Scarred. The whoosh was not the same this time. The B.E.N file seemed to go on and off between having the owl statue, but he decides to play it. He's taken to the Stone Tower Temple, and Link's just got this dead glare in his eyes and his body's all twisted. And he can't really do anything. And there's a note, and that note is not programmed in either of the 64 games. So he's running around for a bit. And then just about after 2 minutes of running around, trying to figure out what to do, the statue starts to follow him again. By now he's figured out that the statue probably stands for Ben. That Ben is following him. A dawn of a new day appears, which happens when you're saved. But he's taken out to the normal screen, and everything seems alright. But the next text box was gibberish. Now the camera angle started to be really weird. He could walk around, but it wouldn't follow him. Seeing this as a sign, he decided to come into the clock tower. The Happy Mask salesman scene is triggered. Then all of a sudden it brings him out to Terminal Field. No music, eerie silence once again. He decides to head for Woodfall, and the song of unhealing starts to play. He notices some figures, and he goes out to meet them. He finds Epona the horse, Skull Kid, the Ben statue, and the Happy Mask salesman. Now he was pretty freaked out. Epona wasn't supposed to appear in this game. For those of you who know, Epona was only in Ocarina and then made appearances like in Twilight Princess. But no way you could get Epona in this game. Wherever he would walk, Happy Mask salesman's eyes would follow you. Taking that as a sign, he decides to play the Happy Mask salesman's song, the Song of Healing. And since the sound made it sound like he was supposed to, he played it. And it sounded like he was supposed to. All of a sudden, he once again bursts into flames and dies as they watched over him dying. Upon coming back in, the game shows him with the Zora transformation scene. He's at the Great Bay, and all of a sudden, he starts hearing a neighing sound. He once again sees Epona, and Epona isn't supposed to be in this game. She's constantly neighing and pointing in a certain direction. After some time, Judah Subliminal figures this out to be a hint to go that way in the water. So he starts heading towards the Gerudo pirate fortress, and he's swimming, and then he notices something in the water. He stops to go check it out, and he freaks out because he knows well what it is. What he finds is the Ben statue. All of a sudden, Zora Link starts choking and falls over as if he drowned. Zoras aren't supposed to drown. They can breathe underwater. This is a reference to why people say Ben drowned, because after that, when it boots him out to the start, it has 2 files, Ben drowned. Now after this, Judah Subliminal takes some time off, he goes insane, starts having nightmares, other phenomena start occurring, especially in Cleverbot. He is constantly reminded you shouldn't have done that, as in you shouldn't have erased that file. And he explores a little bit, But what freaked him most out was he wanted to get this out to the world. So he started taking videos and putting them out on YouTube. Now, since Ben was apparently in those files, apparently he got to his computer too. He started opening conversations on Cleverbot on his own and having conversations with this so-called Ben. He also believed that his notes and videos were edited by Ben because they were on the computer, so Ben controlled what we did and did not see in those videos. He also starts having nightmares, puts it away, starts having withdrawal symptoms, and this is a college man. And so he comes across some weird things, like this weird, it was like, he did the kind of canon somehow, and after he had gotten the elegy of emptiness, all of a sudden there's like this huge Grim Reaper object, and he couldn't escape, and he was just like slaughtered by it. And all this stuff keeps on happening, and he's freaking out again. He's reminded of giving last chances and whatnot. And eventually he turns it over to his friend, and he starts doing the videos and whatnot. He starts freaking out. He thinks Ben's after him to kill him. And then after all this crazy stuff happens, eventually one day he sees the counter resets. I'm glad you did that. And somehow Ben's spirit was finally free.